What's up, guys, and welcome to today's training. Today's topic is why men need to get lean. Being lean is your leverage. This sets you apart from all of the other men out there, the majority, who are fat and out of shape. And let's be real, when you meet somebody for the first time, your physique says so much more about you before you even open your mouth. So before somebody says that this is surface level, this is superficial, that's bullshit. This has been going on for as long as humans have been around. As long as we've been alive, we make judgments based off of a person's physique, because you can tell by looking at somebody's body, somebody's physique, on what type of habits they have. Are they the disciplined type of person? We're going to get into this video and unpacking a couple core concepts here. And I want to begin with a quote by Socrates. That quote being, "No citizen has a right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. What a disgrace it is for a man to grow old without ever having seen the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." That's the whole point of this video, because your body is not just a side project. This is not something to put on the back burner. This is something to prioritize. And by getting lean, by getting sub 15% body fat, being 10% body fat, this is going to trickle over into success in all areas of life, whether that's business, relationships, earning the respect of other men, the attraction of other women, making more money. This affects all areas of life. As you can see from the overview, we'll be talking about visible standards, physical leverage, sexual vitality, social authority, the biological cost, and self-command. This is what we're really talking about in this video. This is the reality of 2026, guys. Being lean gets you ahead, and this is your leverage in turning the key that's going to help in all other areas. And this brings us to our core thesis. Being lean is more than just aesthetics. This is one of the clear signals that a man has standards. Because if you have standards, this is reflected in your physique. Because it takes discipline, it takes consistency, it takes hard effort, work, and it takes capability to develop a strong, powerful physique and to be lean. And this may be perceived subconsciously by others, but it is certainly perceived. So this is the first thing we have to understand about what the body is telling us, because your body tells the truth. Your body tells so much more about you than what your words say. A man can talk about discipline, ambition, standards, or consistency all day, but it's the body that tells the truth on what that man actually does over time. If he's actually executing and implementing the things that he says, or if his words are just empty promises. Over time, the body is going to tell the truth. This is where it tells whether or not this man is keeping his promises to himself. And the hard part is that most men lose this gradually over time. This doesn't happen overnight. You don't just wake up one day suddenly out of shape. This is something that, as you sacrifice your gym time, your nutrition, your sleep, if you start taking your walks as optional, or you treat the gym as it's just an adjunct or not that important, or you start sacrificing sleep, this all accumulates over time. This may not show up immediately. Sure, there's signs that can show up in the acute, but chronically over time, it's easy to just year after year gain 5 pounds of fat 1 year, and then you do that the next year, then you do it a third year. All of a sudden, it's been 5 years that you've gained 5 pounds of fat every year, and now you're 25 pounds of excess body fat. This happens gradually over time. This is the subtle creep of what happens when you let your habits slip. Your face just becomes puffier over time. Your waist becomes softer over time. You notice that your clothes fit differently. You don't fit into the clothes that you used to. Or you notice that you start to see these bags under your eyes show up. Or you see a photo of yourself from the side or from the front, and you see that you look like you're a completely different person than how you perceive yourself. This all happens over time. But once you start to see those changes, the next question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to wait? Are you going to dither? Are you going to keep putting it on the back burner? Or are you going to step into embodying your best physique? Are you going to tap into the leanness as your leverage? Because being lean changes you as a man. This changes the way the world sees you as a man. It changes your face, the shape of your jaw. It changes your cheeks. It changes your eyes. You can see it in your neck. You can see it in your belly. You can see it in how your clothes fit, in how you carry yourself, in your posture, in your confidence. This changes all aspects of you and your world. Being lean sets you apart from everyone else. This makes you an outlier. In a way, it's going to draw more attention if you're the type of guy that is lean, that has a shredded 6-pack or an 8-pack, and you're around average people. They're going to look at you like you're a lot of them are going to think you're a celebrity or a fitness model, because it is so radically different to be lean, to be an outlier like that, it just assume that you must be famous or that you must be a celebrity. And it's that energy and that aura that starts to radiate from you when you are lean. It is an aura, it's an energy. And it's magnetic, where it pulls in, it's attractive. The world and God and everything just seems to align and come to you easier. Because there is something known as the attractiveness bias. And the attractiveness bias states that those men who are lean, who are more attractive, tend to get more opportunities. They tend to gain favor compared to those men or those women who are less attractive. So if you are more attractive, you are going to draw in more opportunities. And this is just one of the laws of the universe, guys. So this sets you apart from all of the other men. This is leverage. This is a holistic effect in all areas of life. And it's one of the most obvious places that this shows up is with the attractiveness. And the attractiveness isn't just physical. It's biological. It's energetic. It's attractive in just how you stand and how you present yourself, in your energy, and how you speak, and how you think, and how you take care of yourself. Being disciplined is attractive, because when you're disciplined, a woman can trust you more, because you can put your feelings of discomfort aside, or put your emotions of feeling a certain way, or feeling like you need this motivation, like I talked in a recent video about. When you're disciplined, it's a sign that you can put your feelings and emotions aside, and that when a woman sees that, she sees you as a quality mate that she can trust, because you're going to be a strong man who will stick to the standards rather than being at the whims of her emotions and her feelings. And that gives her permission to be in her emotions and her feminine and her feelings. And so there are these subtle subconscious attractiveness cues based off of how your body looks and the quality of condition that your body's in. So it's not just physical. This is more. This is energetic. And this is a layer deeper in that it shows the type of man that you are with your habits below the surface. But it's not just about women either, right? It's more about commanding respect. Imagine the case of a real estate agent who is 35% body fat, and he has a client interested in buying real estate. With that client, his body is going to communicate that he is the type of man that doesn't have discipline, doesn't have consistency, and doesn't have self-respect. And if he doesn't have self-respect, then that client isn't going to give him respect either. Versus the opposite, where if I show up to a real estate agent who is 10% body fat, who's dialed, who's shredded, he talks and speaks it eloquently. His body communicates so much more about who he is as a man, and his habits, and his drive, and his work ethic, and his consistency and discipline. And when I see that, I can trust that man. I hold more respect for that man. So it's not just in terms of women, It's not just in terms of earning the respect of other men. This is also in how the world perceives you. This is also about biology. When you're lean, your biology is supportive for health, for performance, for being a lean machine that has low inflammation, that has high testosterone. If you're 30% body fat or higher, or even 20-something% body fat or higher, your biology is suffering. A low-grade inflammation is going to drive up cortisol, catecholamines, inflammatory markers. This is going to drive down your testosterone, up your estrogen. And excess body fat will develop insulin resistance over time. This is going to increase visceral fat, which causes low-grade inflammation throughout all systems in your body. Organ failure, insulin resistance. The list goes on. So there's a massive cost to being overweight, to having excess body fat. Optimal ranges would be in that 10 to 15% range, not much less than 8% body fat. Otherwise, you'll start to run into other issues, but I generally stick around the 10 to 12% body fat range year round. Sometimes getting up to 15% for an intentional bulk, because hormonally, we're in a better hormone profile for bulking and for gaining mass if we do have a little bit more body fat. If you are in the range of 15 to 20% body fat, that's a little more supportive for gaining mass rather than if you're 8 to 10% body fat and trying to do a lean bulk. It's just not as effective. So it depends on your season, but never ever should you be over 20% body fat for an extensive period of time, because this will accelerate your aging. This will increase your visceral fat, your insulin resistance, and one of the worst things you can do is to age yourself prematurely. You can reverse your biological age to a degree, and I've seen that happen again and again. But the longer that you go on being overweight, excess body fat, the more stress you're putting on your organs over time. This accumulates exponentially, where you do accumulate this damage. But it's kind of like the analogy that people will ask me, why am I, or like me personally, why am I doing these anti-aging protocols? So focused on anti-aging in my mid-30s. Well, shouldn't I wait until I'm in my 40s, 50s, 60s to start doing that? And my answer is, if I do these protocols now, if I stick to my protocols now for living in my prime, if I'm currently 37 years old and I focus on these protocols, if I can slow down my aging beyond 37, I get to stay closer to 37 for longer. And biologically, right now my age is around 25, based off of my DEXA, VO2, RMR. But if I can keep my body younger for longer, that exponentially increases my longevity, my lifespan in a healthy range. So it's like I'm freezing my body and slowing my body down in my 30s or 20s before I get to 60, and then trying to slow myself down to stay 60 for longer. So this is all exponential. Your gains now positively can build momentum, and negatively can build momentum. So if you can build that momentum now and build the physiology and the biology now, this is going to help you as you carry forward into the years and the decades ahead. And the thing is, it's not just about the scale, guys. It's not about the number. The number doesn't tell us anything. And this is why I'm such a proponent for getting DEXA scans. The DEXA scan will tell you exactly your lean mass, your fat mass, your visceral fat, your bone density. This is how you can look under the hood at exactly what your body composition is, rather than being attached to this single number on the scale that goes up or down. I've seen dozens, hundreds of cases of people who have maybe lost or gained 2 or 3 pounds, but then when we look under the hood at the quality of mass gained or lost, there's times I'll see somebody gain 11 pounds or 15 pounds of lean mass and lose 20 pounds of fat at the same time. So the scale may only show a 5 or 6 pound difference, but in reality, they've gained 10, 12 pounds of lean mass and lost 20, 30 pounds of fat. So the number on the scale doesn't tell us a whole lot. And when it comes to getting lean, it's not just about that number. It's about looking at your exact composition, because the goal is not to weigh less. The goal is to have lower body fat and more lean mass. The goal is lean, muscular, capable, functional, and having a sexually alive libido, being metabolically healthy. Having metabolic tissue like muscle is one of the best things that's going to help you with your longevity. Muscle is like a sponge for blood sugar. If you have elevated blood sugar in your bloodstream, muscle is like a sponge that soaks up that sugar out of the bloodstream and stores it as muscle glycogen. Building muscle, having more lean mass is the best way to increase your metabolism, to mitigate against diseases, especially cancer or metabolic diseases. When you have more metabolic tissue on your body, you're going to spend less time with elevated blood sugar and insulin circulating throughout your system and putting stress on your organs. When you can build muscle, this doesn't just help you metabolically. This just doesn't help you in disease prevention. This helps you functionally. This helps you with longevity, with performance. And yeah, it helps with aesthetics as well. It increases your V-taper. When you pack on more muscle on your shoulders and have wider shoulders and have a sharper, more narrow waist through getting your body fat down. This is where building muscle intentionally in the right places and losing fat is going to help to bring out that V-taper and bring into the golden ratio. This is what makes you more attractive from a physique standpoint, and getting lean for the summer, having the V-taper. That's one of the most attractive things physically when a woman is looking at a men's physique, is having that V-taper. But that body doesn't happen by accident. Genetically, some of us are a little more gifted with bone structure, but it's something that every man can optimize his physique. Every man can get to 10% body fat. Every man can get to 150 to 180 pounds of lean muscle, depending on your frame. It's possible, but it's not something that happens by accident. This happens through your standards. Having standards. Your standards override your feelings. When you have a bad day, sticking to your standards gets you through that day, hitting your non-negotiables and being consistent. This is with your protein, with your strength training, with your steps, with your sleep, with your nutrition. Having these standards is what over time creates your body. When you have a standard and you have a system in place, it removes the thought, the emotional energy of constantly having to negotiate with yourself, of deciding, do I do this? Do I do that? Well, if I do this, then I can make this sacrifice tomorrow. If I eat the damn cookies now, then over the next couple days, I'll just fast. And how many times do I see guys that will do this yo-yo dieting and binging? And I know some of you are my freaking clients that your worst problem is late night binge eating. You do so well, and then you get to a weekend and then you just fall off the rails that last hour. But instead, having the standards and sticking to the standards, that removes the decisions from all of this. This removes the emotional energy and the attachment to feeling these things. Sticking to the standards over time is what's going to unlock your peak physique. Having standards, sticking to your standards, and honoring that is going to be what protects your future self from your current self and the way you feel now, and wavering and wanting to sacrifice based off of how you feel or your emotions in the moment. Your standards protects that future version of yourself from this version of yourself right now that is negotiating and wavering without standards. So sticking to your standards protects your future self from your current self, who is negotiating with your emotions and your feelings on whether or not you're going to do or don't do the thing. Your standards take the thought out of it. It removes the emotion out of it and just override it, flip the switch, and stick to those standards. That's what protects your future self from the sabotage of your current self. And this brings us to our closing argument, is most men need to get lean because being soft is expensive. This costs energy. This costs confidence. This costs attraction, respect, credibility, this costs your health. And eventually, this costs self-trust. If you're overweight and you've never been fit, you've never been lean, stop waiting until you get into your 40s, 50s, 60s or older, then looking back and thinking, wow, I could have done this years ago. What would life have been like differently had I gotten lean and been lean all through my 30s, my 40s? And over time, as you get older, as you get into your 40s, into your 50s, if you can be the man that is lean, that is shredded, that's ripped, that's going to set you aside from all of the other men, and especially as you get older. I think it's so impressive when I see a man that's in his 50s, 60s, 70s that has a six-pack. I mentioned a couple of videos back that I had a client that he at 68 years old was able to lose 30 pounds of body fat and gain 11 pounds of muscle all within just 4 months at 68 years old. He also lost over 2 pounds of visceral fat within this period of time. This guy went from 24% body fat down to 14% body fat. And to see that at 68 is just so exhilarating for me. See what's possible, because it is harder as you get older. But if you can do this now in your 20s, 30s, 40s, it's so much easier to maintain close to that baseline. So it's expensive to be unoptimized. It's expensive to be fat, soft, and to miss out on your peak years by being fat. If you're lean in your peak years and you set the standard that being shredded is the standard, being ripped is the rule, being lean is the law, this shows up in your physique in every bit about your being, in your energy that you exude, in your aura. This is all conveyed all through your physique. This is why, men, you need to get lean, down to 10, 12% body fat. And if you want help building your body, getting lean, getting a plan, you can get a consultation with me at the link in the description below. You can get my free testosterone optimization course and my other offers as well.